Let's get some analysis of all of this now. Wade McMullen joins us from our Washington bureau for that. He's the managing attorney for the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
Now, for generations, Haitians have crossed the border to do all sorts of jobs, from cutting sugarcane to clearing homes to babysitting. Many have moved there and have since had families. Can you explain how the changes in the immigration law in 2013 affect people born there to Haitian immigrants?
Absolutely. So before this decision, anyone born in the Dominican Republic before 2010, even if they were born to undocumented immigrants, received Dominican citizenship, the Dominican nationality. But what this decision did in 2013 was retroactively and arbitrarily strip that Dominican citizenship from over 200,000 individuals who, prior to that date, considered themselves Dominican. You know, many living there for generations, only speaking Spanish, never having traveled outside of the Dominican Republic, and consider themselves puro dominicano, as they say.
Now, we know there's about 500,000 foreign-born migrants in the Dominican Republic, and according to the government, less than half of those have started the registration process. So what does the future hold for those who haven't registered, and how is Haiti going to cope if there's a flood of people entering its country?
Absolutely. The Dominican officials, as late as today, have been announcing that they're preparing for deportation operations on a massive scale. What they've promised is anybody without documentation is going to be immediately detained and submitted to repatriation or expulsion. What we're really concerned about, though, is the tens of thousands of Dominicans who are denationalized, who don't have a citizenship and are even stateless, who might be swept up in these migration raids and illegally expelled to a country they've never known. Haiti, on the other hand, is not prepared at this moment to receive tens of thousands of individuals, let alone individuals who aren't even Haitian citizens. So once these people arrive, they're going to be stuck in a conundrum of what to do, and under international law have a right to return to the Dominican Republic, which is their own country. And so we're going to have to wait and see as to how that plays out.
So what's the process for these people that are undocumented workers? How do they get documentation, especially for those who have been working in the Dominican Republic for years?
Absolutely. So to the government's credit, they have instituted a couple of different registration programs. One registration program was for individuals born in the Dominican Republic that were denationalized, and another was for migrants who immigrated from Haiti to work in the Dominican Republic. That second one ends today at midnight. But unfortunately, while 200,000 people or so have been registered under that program, tens, maybe hundreds of thousands have been left out. The Dominican government has not made this scheme available to everybody. They didn't do a public education scheme. In some cases, they required an individual of low economic means to produce 7 different affidavits confirming their ties to the country to allow them to remain there. Individuals have showed up to registration centers that have been closed because of lack of electricity, or they were turned away for some technicality, this or that. Fearing losing their jobs for taking that day off, they may not have returned. So there's been numerous obstacles. If this plan was actually designed to help all the individuals that it was supposed to help, it would have looked completely different. And unfortunately, given the arbitrary timeline and the extremely short amount of time these individuals have had to produce this amount of documentation, even despite all the obstacles, we're still going to see hundreds of thousands left out of this benefit.
It's a heartbreaking situation for those people. We'll have to see how this all plays out. Wade McMullen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Linda.